Twitter Files journalist Matt Taibbi has blasted House Democrats in a new piece over what he calls their disastrous miscalculation on civil liberties. This follows his recent testimony before a committee on the weaponization of the federal government. Let's talk about that with KTTH Talk Radio host Jason Rantz. Jason, it's always great to see you. It's amazing because Matt Taibbi is looking at this whole thing, and he writes the following here. I'm going to put this up on the screen. He writes that many Democrats and legal experts, oh, that's not the right one, they saw a threat in people who wrote about true stories of vaccine side effects or true posts which could fuel hesitancy. If people transmit true or possibly true stories, it goes on to say, that conflict with approved narratives, these acts are algorithmically detected as intended to deceive and throw in the thought crime baskets. I mean, misinformation was anything but misinformation. It was just not approved by the conventional narrative.
Exactly. I mean, this is the equivalent of when Democrats don't like what someone says, they just call you a white supremacist. And so when you took on a narrative that they didn't want you to take on, they simply called it disinformation, misinformation. And the intent was to discredit anything that got in the way of a very specific agenda that they had. At the beginning, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt when it comes to the vaccine and other things that they meant well, but they clearly got too power hungry. And I find it so incredibly ironic that we're hearing from Democrats nonstop. Donald Trump, Ron DeSantis, they're fascists. But the fact is, the folks on the left are the ones who are actively taking away our rights and trying to bully people into silence. I don't think the fascism is coming from the right.
Yeah, and when I saw that trial, that hearing the other day, and you see some of these lawmakers, and they're just literally ignoring the First Amendment, like nobody cares about the First Amendment, and you people need to get over this and move on. I really sat there with my eyes like this thinking, are we kidding? Do Democrats really have given up on the First Amendment? Like, it's not important.
Yeah, it is an inconvenience to them. They only support the First Amendment and our right to free speech when we're saying the quote-unquote right thing. And what I found rather kind of humorous, honestly, a lot of these Democrat lawmakers on their Twitter accounts, they were posting these videos from the committee hearing, and they were bragging about what they were doing. But when you actually watch the video and hear what they say, they were basically making the argument that we no longer have First Amendment rights. We better shut up and just do what they say.
By the way, millennials say middle age is not what they were promised. Right, Jason? They say it's not what they were promised. The New York Times says the following: when William Strauss and Neil Howe published a bestseller in 2000 called Millennials Rising, the Next Great Generation, they remarked that millennials were kids who never known a year in which America doesn't get richer. They described an upbeat, optimistic, and diverse set of Americans coming of age. Well, the going got tough, and the millennials are tired of it.
Millennials, of which I am, are the most insufferable generation. Every single one of them loves to complain that they're victims. They always like to say, my life is so hard. And you ask them, well, why is your life so hard? I have to go to work. There's not a life balance. And we need to have a better life-work balance or work-life balance. And then when you sort of press them a little bit, what they mean is they want just nothing but life and none of the work part. And I'm surrounded by these people. Again, I am one of them, but I actually work, and I stop complaining about work because at some point you have to sit back and say, you're bringing this on yourself. Stop acting like a victim, and you won't actually be one.
Yeah, I wonder if anybody's writing a book, The Next Greatest Generation, about the millennials. I don't know. Jason Rantz, thanks for coming on.
Thanks.